As Tirion stepped into the vast council chamber, a heavy tension filled the air. The ceiling was adorned with a massive hologram, displaying images of planets and stars from all corners of the galaxy. Around him, the other species, with their unique appearances and bearing the grandeur of their homeworlds, stood tall. Their faces and bodies were adorned with symbols unfamiliar to humans, some so strange that deciphering them seemed impossible. Tirion turned to Ellara and whispered, "They underestimate us. We have to show them what we can do." Ellara nodded nervously. "Yes, but we need to be cautious. One wrong move here could ruin all diplomatic relations." The fact that humans were seen as new in the galaxy had caused others to view them as weak and inexperienced. Tirion was fully aware of this prejudice, but he planned to use that bias to his advantage. Throughout history, humans had always been underestimated but had returned with unexpected strength each time. This would be no different. The chairman of the meeting, Ellara, stepped onto the stage after a brief, silent exchange of glances with the other species' representatives. His voice, loud and echoing, resonated throughout the chamber. "Today we gather to resolve the issue of resource distribution on Tashari. However, I must remind you that some species are here only as observers." His gaze shifted with a slight sneer toward the human group. "Humans are among those species." Tirion took a deep breath. Ellara stood behind him, tightly clasping her hands together. The other representatives glanced mockingly at the human diplomats, and Tirion struggled to remain patient. To them, humanity was not a threat, but merely a pawn without a place on the galactic chessboard. As Ellara continued his speech, suddenly, the lights in the hall went out. Everything plunged into darkness for a moment. The holographic images vanished, and warning lights began flashing on the table. The sound systems failed, and the view of the massive starships outside disappeared from the screens. The tension in the room quickly turned into panic. Within seconds, the entire order had collapsed. Ignoring the chaos around him, Tirion calmly turned to Ellara. "This isn't a malfunction. It's an attack." Ellara stared at Tirion in shock. "What do you mean?" "The defense systems are active. This is supposed to be one of the most secure places." Tirion shook his head. "The defense systems might have been disabled here, but this feels like a distraction. This is a professional assault." Meanwhile, Virection technicians rushed to the control table. They pressed several buttons on the console, but nothing responded. Chairman Ellara demanded an explanation with a trembling voice, but no one had an answer. Tirion, maintaining his composure, approached Ellara. "This is a communications attack. If we don't act now, we'll lose control of the systems in orbit around the planet. There might be an attack fleet waiting outside." Ellara stared at Tirion in disbelief. "An attack? Here? In such a well-protected place? We should have known about this." Tirion looked at him seriously. "We have technology advanced enough to detect this type of assault. You're underestimating us, but the truth is, we specialize in war and crisis management." The shock on Virection Chairman's face soon shifted to undeniable realization. Tirion might be right. Just then, explosions from outside struck the walls of the chamber. A large ship in orbit had begun its assault. Although the holographic screens no longer showed the battle outside, the sounds of ships clashing reverberated throughout the building. Communication systems had failed, and defense systems were down. Virection soldiers hurriedly tried to organize themselves, but Elara's commands were delayed, and orders became chaotic. Tirion took a deep breath. "Give us a chance. We can stop this attack." Ellara looked at him with hesitation. "How do you plan to fix our defense systems?" With a determined smile, Tirion replied, Your technology may be complex, but our strategies are simple. The attackers outside are working to corner you before you even realize it. The key to defeating them is a clever maneuver. Tirion, along with Ellara and a few other human diplomats, quickly formulated a plan. Humans may have been inexperienced in diplomacy, but they were masters of war strategies. Within seconds, Ellara gained access to a small control room next to the hall. She quickly intervened in the technological systems and reactivated the ship's defense programs. Meanwhile, Tirion had located the flagship at the center of the assault formation. Ellara carefully studied the holographic map. "The main ship is here," she said. "These attackers might be trying to seize the resources of Tashari. Their target is the energy sources on the planet. But if we take out this main ship, the rest of the forces will scatter." Tirion nodded. "Then let's launch the attack." While the Varexians reactivated their defense systems, a coordinated strike led by the human diplomats was launched. With Elara's sharp strategy and Tyrion's calm leadership, they targeted the flagship. Explosions echoed through the depths of space. Thanks to the bold attack of the human diplomats, the flagship was neutralized. Through Tyrion's calmness and strategic intelligence, the attack had been repelled, saving the galaxy's most important diplomatic meeting. Humanity had stepped onto the stage, not just as observers, but as the new players in the galaxy. The enemy's main ship had exploded, forcing the attackers to retreat. However, Tirion and his team knew this was only the first move. There were still several enemy ships outside, and a stronger assault could follow. As the Varex forces, under Aarlon's command, scrambled to regain control, the humans quickly began devising a new strategy. Tirion, Ellara, and the human team, along with the Varex officers, exited the council chamber and headed toward the defense command center. They took an elevator that descended into the depths of the building and soon arrived at the main control room, where the planet's defense systems were managed. When the elevator doors opened, the room was filled with soldiers from various species, all in a panic, issuing commands and checking the systems. The situation was chaotic. Tirion scanned the room quickly. The screens displayed the ships orbiting the planet. After the destruction of their main ship, the enemy vessels had started regrouping. They were setting up ambushes and forming new attack patterns. Ellara moved swiftly to a terminal, studying the systems. "The enemies are reorganizing. This time, they're preparing for a stronger assault," she said with a grave expression. Tirion nodded. "The Varex defense systems aren't enough. We need to get support from our own ships." At that moment, Aarlon approached Tirion, his voice rising in anger. "Who are you to belittle our defense systems? This is one of the most well-protected regions in the galaxy." Tirion turned to him, remaining calm as he spoke. "It may be protected, but right now, it's vulnerable. If we don't act fast, these attackers will destroy everything. With our strategies, we can predict their next moves." Aarlon hesitated, but he didn't want to waste time. "Fine. What do you propose?" he asked. Tirion exchanged a glance with his team. Ellara was quickly scanning the systems. Then, Tirion began to explain. "The enemy ships are currently disorganized after losing their main ship. But before they can regroup, we need to target them in small groups. If we launch a tactical strike, we can neutralize them before they can make a big move." Ellara pointed to one of the screens. "Look here," she said. "The enemy ships are scattered into 3 main areas. If we attack these zones simultaneously, the rest of their forces won't be able to regroup."
Aarlon weighed Tirion's plan carefully.
The Varex were far more advanced than humans when it came to technology, but they lacked experience in warfare tactics. Tyrion's plan was sound, and if executed correctly, it could lead them to victory.
Aarlon nodded.
"All right. The humans will take the lead. Tirion, Ellara, and the Verrex commanders sprang into action. The Verrex defense ships were quickly reorganized under the guidance of the human diplomats. As the Verrex pilots ventured into deep space, a massive battle unfolded in the planet's orbit. The first clash was silent but deadly. Tirion and his team relayed the weak points of the enemy ships to the Verrex pilots. The enemy vessels tried to escape with rapid maneuvers, but each one was targeted. Explosions and beams of light followed one after another in the vastness of space. Tirion watched the battle from the main control room. The enemy ships are retreating rapidly, but their primary assault ship is still motionless. It must be their backup command ship. Ellara pointed it out on the screen. Yes. If we take it out, they'll lose all coordination. Tirion turned to one of the Verrex commanders. We need to focus all our firepower on the primary assault ship. Its outer hull may be strong, but its engine systems are exposed. If we concentrate on that area, we can disable the ship. The Verrex commander nodded and immediately relayed the orders. The Verrex ships moved swiftly toward the primary assault ship, launching laser strikes directly at its engine systems. Explosions echoed in the depths of space, announcing the battle to the entire galaxy. The enemy ship, in a desperate attempt, tried to maneuver, but its escape routes were being cut off one by one. Inside the enemy ship, the crew scrambled in panic to activate the ship's defenses. But it was too late. The Verrex pilots, guided by Tirion's clever tactics, had cornered the vessel. When the ship finally exploded in a massive blast, silence fell over space. Tirion watched the explosion on the screen and took a deep breath. "We did it," he muttered, but he couldn't fully savor the victory. This attack could be only the beginning. Ellara approached him, gently touching his shoulder. "We won, but this was a warning. There could be more." Tirion turned to her with a serious expression and nodded. "Yes, this was just a test. But the real attack is coming soon, and next time, they won't underestimate us." As the Verrex began preparations to celebrate their victory, Tirion and his team started reviewing strategies for threats that could arise from other regions of the galaxy. While the Verrexian ships reveled in their victory, Tirion and Ellara remained in the main control room, watching the explosion of the enemy ship. Just as they had feared, this was only the beginning. As the echoes of the blast faded into the void, a new energy signal appeared on the screens. Something massive and incredibly fast was approaching. Without taking his eyes off the screen, Tirion spoke. "This is the real attack. The previous ones were just distractions." Ellara rushed to the control panel and accessed the Verrexian systems for a more detailed scan. The data on the screen revealed that the incoming threat was no ordinary attack. This is a super ship," she said, astonished. "Its size dwarfs all of our defense fleets." Verrexian Commander Aarlon muttered, his voice shaking. "We can't stop that. It's too massive." Tirion shot him a sharp look. "We're not giving up. No matter how big it is, everything has a weak point." As the supership entered the Verrexian planet's orbit, it cast a colossal shadow across the void of space. The sheer size of the ship struck fear into everyone on the planet. Its outer hull was coated in dark gray and black, a material that seemed to absorb light itself. Energy shields radiated almost invisible ripples, protecting its surface. The Verrexian defense fleet was dwarfed by the massive supership. Its weapons had not yet activated, but everyone knew it was only a matter of time. Tirion turned to Ellara. "We need to reorganize the defense line immediately. The supership is large and powerful, but it moves slowly. If we can't stop it, we can at least limit its maneuverability." Ellara nodded and quickly began searching the screen for weak spots on the ship. She noticed a few weaker energy flows on the underside. The energy cables on its lower side are less protected compared to other areas. If we focus enough firepower there, we might destabilize their shields. Tirion quickly relayed the orders to the Virexian commanders. Tell all ships to concentrate their attacks on the underside of the supership. We need to weaken their shields with fast and coordinated strikes. Virexian ships, along with a small human fleet led by Tirion, began their approach towards the colossal supership. They maneuvered carefully through the massive energy waves constantly rotating around the ship. The first shots were fired. The Virexians targeted the energy cables beneath the ship, but the supership's shields easily absorbed the initial assault. Tirion frowned. Their shields are stronger than we thought. We need a more intense attack. Ellara analyzed the data on the screen. We're not breaching their shields at this energy level. However, if we keep hitting the same spot repeatedly, we could overload that section and break through. At that moment, the supership began to retaliate. Its massive laser cannons activated and opened fire on the Virexian defense ships. Explosions erupted in space, and the Virexian ships scrambled to evade the incoming fire. But the supership's firepower was overwhelming. Each laser hit created massive blasts, taking out the Virexian ships one by one. Tirion called out to his crew, "Disrupt their targeting. This ship is slow, but it locks onto targets easily. We can weaken their firepower with sharp maneuvers." Ellara pushed the ship's systems to their maximum capacity, placing it in full defensive mode. Coordinating with the remaining Virexian ships, the humans continued to evade fire while launching attacks of their own. The supership's shields, under the relentless attacks, began to show signs of weakening. Virexian ships focused their fire on the energy cables underneath, and the explosions became more frequent as the supership's energy began to deplete. Just then, Tirion's eyes caught a detail on the screen. "That's it," he muttered. "The energy core is right there." Ellara scanned the area he pointed to and confirmed it. "You're right. If we hit that with enough force, we can completely collapse their internal energy systems." Tirion swiftly gave orders to the Virexian commanders. "All ships, concentrate every last bit of firepower on the energy cable beneath the supership. This is our last chance." Virexian and human ships gathered all their energy for one final attack. The focused assault on the supership's energy cables caused a massive explosion in space. For a brief moment, everything went silent. Then, a colossal energy wave radiated out as the supership began to implode from within. The ship's exterior cracked, and enormous pieces of debris scattered into space. As the ship disintegrated, all that remained was a massive cloud of wreckage. As the battle came to an end, Tirion and Ellara, exhausted but triumphant, exchanged glances. But the victory had come at a heavy cost. Most of the Virexian ships were destroyed, and many lives had been lost. The planet's orbit was littered with debris. Tirion took a deep breath. "It's over. But how much longer can we keep this up?" Virexian Commander Aarlon approached Tirion and silently bowed his head. "You saved our lives. The Virexians underestimated your intelligence and bravery. But today, you've proven to the entire galaxy just how powerful humanity truly is." Tirion smiled. "We just did what we had to do." After the battle, the relationship between the Virexians and humans was forever changed. Humanity was no longer just an ally. They were now recognized as one of the most important forces in the galactic community. I hope you had a good time. If you liked my story, do not forget to comment and subscribe to my channel. Goodbye. See you in the next story.